Hi Booktube, it's Lori from Bookishly Lori. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today I am actually going to start something new. I saw that Grace from G Swizzle invited some people over on Goodreads and people who have Booktube channels to join her on a little Booktube project called 7 on Sunday, and that sounded really interesting to me. So I'm a little bit late. I'm a few topics behind, I think 2 Sundays behind, but better late than never. I thought I would jump in and get started on this Sunday's topic, which is 7 books that you associate with your 7 favorite booktubers. So I thought that was a great topic, so let's jump right on. Alright, so the first booktuber and book I want to talk about is my favorite booktuber of all time. I love Whitney from Witty Novels. She's just my favorite. We are both girls from Texas, and when I think of her channel, I automatically, like, the book that I associate most with her is, I think, the book most people associate with her. It's Shatter Me. And I actually have a funny story about how I found Whitney. I read Shatter Me on audiobook, the original trilogy. I read it all on audiobook, and I binge read it. I was obsessed with it. It was one of the first series that I listened to on audiobook, and I loved the narrator. The series just had me so enraptured, and I listened to it all, and I actually had started watching BookTube a few months prior, but I found Whitney's channel through Shatter Me. I had looked up Shatter Me reviews because I was obsessed with the series because I read it all in one weekend, and I wanted to find content on it, and that's how I found her channel. So since then, she has a lot of other similar favorite books to me, but I definitely still associate her with Shatter Me. Next up, I want to talk about Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads. We have a very, very similar reading taste. I really go to her channel for great romance recommendations, especially. Romance is not the main genre I read, but when I was getting into romance, her channel really helped me find a lot of great romance suggestions, and the book that I associate with her is one of the recommendations that she talked about a lot that got me to read it, and it is my favorite romance of all time, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. So when I think of Chelsea, I think of The Hating Game because that is one of my favorite romances, and I know that's one of her favorites as well still to this day. It is just so pure and sweet and gives me all the feels, and I think she feels a similar way about Lucy, the main character, and relating to her. So yeah, I definitely associate The Hating Game with Chelsea. Next up, we have Adriana from Perpetual Pages. They do some awesome queer book recommendations. They do a series called A to Z Queer Lit, and they also do these awesome book reviews that they're basically a 5 reasons to read format, and they just express their thoughts about books so eloquently and so beautifully. I wish I could just have a grain of their intelligence and compassion and intrigue when they talk about books. It makes it so interesting, and I found it fascinating because I've read books that they've recommended, and even if I didn't like the book, I was just oh wow, great for them that they were able to pull so much from that book, and it was so meaningful for them. I think they're really someone who pulls meaning from everything that they read, and I really admire them for that. But the book that I think about when I think about Perpetual Pages and Adriana is, I think about Captive Prince series, because that's one of my favorite series, and I know they like it as well. And I also really think of Elizabeth Acevedo and The Poet X. I think that was one of the earlier 5 Reasons to Read videos that I had watched from them, and again, they describe it beautifully, and it makes you want to read the book, honestly. I mean, it just describes it in a way that you're this is the most beautiful book ever, I need to go out and read it right now. So I definitely recommend checking out those videos. All the videos and all the channels that I'm talking about will be linked in the description below. And number 4, I want to shout out Chelsea Palmer. I love her channel. She has goats, and so she'll do sometimes her goats picker TBR. Her channel is just so fun. She does a lot of unboxings and book hauls and stuff, but when I think of her channel, I think of her favorite book being A Court of Mist and Fury. I know she really loves Sarah J. Maas books, and ACOTAR series in particular, and Resand and stuff. So I think of that when I think of her channel. A Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite Sarah J. Maas book so far. I'm not a huge Sarah J. Maas fan. I haven't read Throne of Glass yet, but and I kind of got stuck with A Court of Thorns and Roses as a series. I kind of stopped after ACOMAF because, I mean, you peaked, girl. But yeah, I know that's one of her favorite books, and I definitely agree. I love ACOMAF as well. Another person that I want to mention, I love Allie from Hardback Hoarder, and the book that I think of as her favorite book is Nevernight. I have never read Nevernight, but I know so many people love it, and I want to get into it someday. But yeah, Allie I think also really likes ACOMAF, I'm not sure, but I love Allie. She's really sassy and really upfront about her opinions. Yeah, I think of Nevernight. I even know the main character's name. I know Miyoko Vera because of her channel. So it's funny. I've never read this book. I have no clue, but through BookTube I know somewhat about it. So yeah. Number 6 on my list is Emma Books. She's a very popular booktuber, and my answer for this of her favorite book might surprise you because I think when everyone thinks of her channel, they think of the Shadowhunters universe because she's a huge Cassandra Clare fan and is kind of known on BookTube for that. But when I think of Emma, I think of Daisy Jones and the Six. I know she loved that book and even did a Daisy Jones cosplay and a photo shoot and everything, and I just feel like she was one of the only people here on BookTube that really loved Daisy Jones as much as I loved it and connected to it. And so I really appreciated that and seeing how much she cared about it. I love Daisy Jones. I know a lot of people prefer Evelyn. Evelyn? Is it Evelyn or Evelyn? It's Evelyn, right? Evelyn. Yeah. I know a lot of people prefer The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and that book is great. I'm not discounting it in any way. I love all of Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I personally resonated much more with Daisy Jones and the Six. It's my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book and one of my favorite books of all time. So when I think of Emma, I think of that time where she really loved that book and how she did the cosplay and the photo shoot for it. So yeah, I think of her when I associate her with that book. And last but certainly not least, we have Read with Cindy, one of my favorite booktubers to watch just because she's so hilarious. I love her dry humor, and she's just very ruthless and hilarious when she talks about books. And obviously I associate her with the Six of Crows duology. This is I think the only case, except for Chelsea, on this list where her videos about Six of Crows got me to read the Six of Crows duology. I had been putting it off for so long, but then I saw Cindy read it and cry and sob about it and freak out over it and make memes about it and love it so much that I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. And of course I absolutely love it. Six of Crows is one of my favorite series of all time. And I'm getting more into Leigh Bardugo's books now and trying to read the Grisha series before the TV show, the adaptation on Netflix comes out. So I have Cindy to thank for getting me to finally read it because Ken Sprecher is the love of my literary life. So yeah, those are the 7 booktubers that I associate with their favorite books. This was so fun. I cannot wait to get a little bit more involved on the 7 on Sunday group and check out other people's videos. So let me know in the comments below if you associate these booktubers with those same books, if I mentioned any of your favorite booktubers. And I hope you guys have a beautiful Sunday, and remember, enjoy the journey. Bye. Ever since the day that you went away.